Well, let's crack straight into it here on The Form, and our first guest is Lisa Allpress, of course, with a massive day of racing coming your way from Trentham on Saturday. And Lisa has a number of key rides to talk us through. Lisa, great to have you on the phone this morning. Looking forward to finding out a little bit more about some of your rides for Saturday.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to the day.
Let's go through them in racebook order, and we start with a really nice 2-year-old race. Lisa, I'm sure you don't know a heck of a lot about Swazi, but found a nice competitive race, and that trial was pretty good for a first start.
Yeah, her trial was quite nice, and she has had a few jump outs, so she's not a complete novice coming into a big day. But when you look through the field, you sort of think, there's a lot of horses with some nice form and some good education around them. So we've got a really nice barrier draw in 2. I would imagine that she'll improve a ton out of this race, and the education will do her the world of good.
If we move along to race number 2, London Point looks like one of your key chances on the card there on Saturday. You can't really argue with the record, can you? 2 starts, 2 victories. So what has been your impression of that latest Racing 65 win?
Yeah, it was really nice. She's always shown a lot, and I think she's a full sister to Ellen's other good horse, London Express. So she's really nice. She tries really hard. She's very genuine. She had the blinkers on last start. She is stepping up to the 1400 on Saturday, but by all accounts, her work's been super, and he's very happy with her.
You mentioned the 1400 metres. Is that a little bit of a concern for you, or from the feeling that she's given you, you feel she'll just bounce through that okay?
I think she'll be really good, because she doesn't do a lot early. She really just waits for you to sort of press the button. So she's a nice, relaxed filly, but she's just got a great turn of foot. So if we can just switch her off a little bit, the draw could be a little bit sticky in 8, but the rail in the true position on Saturday, it's a big, roomy track, and I'm sure we'll find the right run for her.
And then race number 4, you've got Dalmatia. That's obviously in the St Ledger, and you've been aboard at the past 2 starts and seems to be racing in really good form, Lisa.
He's a really neat horse, a big Z. He's taken a long time to mature, and I think he is still, he's still got a bit more maturing to do. Mentally and physically, he's getting better every start, but he's taken a long time to get to where he is, and I think he's only going to improve with a bit of time under his belt. But this race has just sort of come along, and Jono's decided just to run him in this while he's still in good form. He does go quite nicely at Trentham. He won a really good race again last Saturday. He's the sort of horse that likes to find the fence. He just needs a little bit of security inside him. So with the track being off last Saturday, we were sort of just left in a little bit of no man's land, and he just wanted to lay in, so we had to switch the stick over and just help him get round the corner. And I think once he finds the rail and there's a genuine speed in the race, he'll be there. But he is still a little bit weak at this stage from that barrier draw. I don't think he has to go forward, so I'm looking forward to just riding him a little bit more conservatively.
And he mentioned also being by Z, the 2,600 metres. There shouldn't be any issue either, really, should it?
No, definitely not. And you'd think he'd actually appreciate an off track, but he's definitely a horse that likes the firmer ground. So, yeah, hopefully the track's in good condition on Saturday.
And then let's move along to Cinerama. That's the Cuddle Stakes, of course. And, geez, it's hard to ignore that victory 2 starts ago. Just so impressive. What was your take on that latest run?
I haven't done a lot of study for Cinerama. I just picked her up the other day. She's just an informed mare before that run the other day, but I'm sure Alan Sharrock will have her sorted out. She's just a genuine racehorse, so really looking forward to her.
And I guess the draw, Lisa, probably doesn't make a heck of a lot of difference for her, because she's pretty straightforward in the fact that she's going to get back.
Yeah, exactly, and just try and tack onto a horse that's going forward at the right time of the race and give her a good drag into it, keep her cuddled up, and I'm sure that if she's trained as well as what she has been previously, she'll do the job.
And then you've got Blissful Bell, of course, in the first of the Group 1s. That is the Levin Classic. No doubt really looking forward to this one. Just the 6 starts, but that was quite an impressive win last time at rating 65.
Yeah, and she was the only, she was only a 3-year-old up against seasoned horses and a lot older than her. And I thought she raced really well. She has gone well at Wellington before. She's placed there a few times. She seems to like the track. She's very relaxed. It's a super field, so she's going to have to be on her best game. But yeah, I'm really happy with her. I've ridden her a few times now, and she's always given me a good feel. She's a genuine filly that does try.
And what about the barrier draw, Lisa? Because it is a little bit tricky being drawn out. Where would you like to settle yourself in running?
I would imagine we'll probably be back in the off midfield. I can already hear John Barry's instructions will be the 1-1. He's always ever hopeful about these things, but we'll just have to work that out on the day and see what the pattern of racing is and what part of the track's playing the best.
And then if we move along to Stumpy in race number 7, that's, of course, the Lightning Stakes. And I don't think Stumpy needs any introduction. I just love this horse, such a star. What did you take away from that last outing?
Yeah, I was really, his last outing at Otaki, he carried 62 kilos. He hadn't raced for a wee while. Excuse me. So he had a little bit of a freshen up. And I think that he is starting to like racing, a little bit more consecutively. He's backing up quite well now that he's getting a bit older. And so, yeah, hopefully he'll have taken some good fitness out of that run last start at Otaki. In that race, it was really hard to see him winning, and I felt he still won a really good race. It was a very tough run, but he probably needed that under his belt. He hadn't had a trial or a jump out leading into it, and he'd had a 6-week layoff. So he'll improve from that run the other day. Still a little bit of a tricky draw in 7, but I think the way he's racing, the older he's getting, the easier he is getting to settle. So I don't think the barrier draw is going to be too much of a worry. The 60 kilos, he's got 2 less kilos than he did last start, so that's a positive as well. There's a few nice positives about him, but whatever he does, he'll put in 120% and he will improve.
Yeah, you know that for sure. Wonderful horse, Stumpy. And then let's get along to Lavilli in the Oaks. And I was really taken by that victory at Tarap. It was a really good run, and then a very encouraging run also at Ellerslie in stakes grade. You must have been happy with that too.
Really happy. She drew the widest barrier at Ellerslie, and it was her first time going right-handed. And I think if anyone watches the replay, the head-on of leaving the barrier, she actually jumped to the left, and so that put us even further out. First time around Ellerslie, she just got a little bit lost out of the straight the first time, and we didn't really have it. I didn't feel we had a lot of option, just had to let her settle and sort of tack on to the last few, and I thought she went really well. She was such a nice horse to ride. She's so relaxed. She's just a perfect little horse to ride, and by all accounts, she's also very well. It is a very good field. It's not a great deal of speed in there. I see Self Obsession's drawn 8. That horse can race up on the speed, so I'm just wondering whether we could just try and track onto one of those more favoured runners and get a nice trip into the race, and then the rest of it's up to her.
Obviously, you don't know if they're going to stay the 2,400 metres until you sort of put them under pressure. But by all accounts, do you feel that she will relish the step up in distance?
I think so, because she's just so relaxed. She just switches off and just does whatever you want her to do. She doesn't touch the bridle, but also in saying that, she comes up underneath you when you ask. So, she's just a really nice competitive little horse, and I think she'll give me a pretty easy ride, and hopefully we just get a good trip.
And then finally, in the 9th, Pinkst is your ride. Another for John Wheeler. What can you tell us about this one? I know it's your first ride, but what's your impression so far?
This is a little horse that had been doing a lot wrong in her campaign last season, and she'd just been missing away or doing some pretty funny tricks out of the barriers in her first few starts. So I think she's got all of that sorted out now. stepping up over ground, I think, is going to be a good thing for her. She ran on quite well after being slow away last start in a fast run race at Wanganui. She was actually about 3 or 4 lengths off them coming out of the barriers, and she made up some really nice ground up the inside. And John Wheeler can get a filly to stay, and I think, you know, she's a really nice little horse in the making, and she'll definitely go on with it. Like I said, she was placing after doing many things wrong in her races last season, and she'll only improve from that.
Lisa, it's time to put you on the spot and ask you for your best on the card at Trentham on Saturday. What have you labelled for us as your best winning ride?
You'd have to say London Point on her form, and, you know, 2 from 2, so can't go past that. But, yeah, I've got some nice enough rides, and I'm really looking forward to the day.
Thanks so much for your time this morning, Lisa. Great to have you on the show, and best of luck there on Saturday.
Thanks, Emily. Take care.
Welcome back into the form, and our next guest needs no introduction, a man who caused a great stir at Flemington last week when taking out the Newmarket handicap with Rockin' Horse. Mike Moroney, a very warm welcome to the form, and congratulations.
Great day for everybody in New Zealand. I know it was well received, and Katrina's been really a hit over here, really has been, and I've seen numerous times I've played a few replays on that, and she's been really well received over here and spoke very well and did a great job for New Zealand.
Yeah, exactly right. Another big day this weekend with the whole host of runners across, of course, Victoria and New South Wales. Let's start with Star of Eden in Victoria at Flemington in race number 3, a horse who's been thereabouts lately.
Yeah, she has. Look, we're going to take the blinkers off her and step her up to this trip. Even though she's a Wangina, she's out of a pretty stout family that goes back to a Noble Bijou mare, and she looks like a Noble Bijou to look at, actually. Quite a big rangy sort of mare, and probably take a little out to really get strong. And so she's going to be an interesting runner because she makes her own luck. Obviously, the good New Zealand mare against is going to be the one to beat, but we're willing to take our chances here. We had her in on Friday night as well, but we're going to take our chance here and step it to 2,000 metres. She was tried as a 3-year-old, but there wasn't much of her then, and I think she's a stronger version now.
And then race number 4, Heavy Duty, was in it for a long way at that last outing, Mike. And what can we expect on Saturday?
Well, I think he's a nice horse in the making. He's got natural talent. Physically and mentally, he's still not 100%, but he's improved a lot this time round. And he's got a lot of talent, and that'll take him a long way. And he's got gate speed and puts himself in the race, so that's a big help. Look, he's going to be pretty competitive. He's a horse that we do like. So whether it's this time round or next time round, we'll see his best. But he's striking a race with a bit of strength in it, but he's shown us a lot on the way through.
And then the All-Star Mile, we don't have to wait long on the card for that, do we? Race number 6, Tofane. You must be pretty happy with where she's at. She's been very good in those 2 runs back, including, of course, adding another Group 1 to the resume.
Yeah, look, she's come back really well. She didn't get a lot of favours in the last start, just the way the track raced. We ended up just not quite where we wanted to be, and we had a couple of horses that were used to get around us early, and we knew they were going to stop in front of us. So Mark tried to get around them, but he had to go around them 4 wide into the worst of the ground, and he just couldn't quite get back to the best part of the track in time before the winner got a run through and that. So her run was probably better than what it looked because there was a real bias that day to the inside, and she just had to, as I said, just make a run around the corner at the wrong time, and it just told the last bit. But look, she's tried at the mile where she ran second in the 2 rack, and she got a nice run that day, but just got held up just when she needed a bit of a run. And then the only other time she got over racing out in the clear here at Flemington in the mares race, and just didn't see it out. But I think as long as she gets a bit of cover and relaxes, she'll see the mile out. And I do think that she's more of a chance to do it in the autumn than what she was in the spring. Spring, she was coming for a pretty short break in Queensland. And I think by the time she arrived here for her, what we thought was the main target, she was getting on the tired side. But this time here, she's really good, and she's going into a third up, which has got a very good record at that. And I think with luck and running, I think that she's going terrific. Can't falter at all, and be very interesting. Like, she has a 8 kilo turnaround in her favour against on Thunderstruck when they met the Turak, and there was only half a length or a long neck in it then. It's pretty hard to see him beating her at the weights. You know, you'd think if you're a believer in weights and measures, 8 kilos is a big turnaround.
Yeah, most definitely is. And the other change is obviously Jamie Mott doing the riding. Has he had the opportunity to come in and throw his leg over her?
He hasn't, no. I have a regular rider, worker all the time, Tyler Johnson, who's a New Zealander, and he rides in all the work. And I've sort of kept him on all the way through. Jamie, I don't think she's ever ridden on a jump out from memory. But look, she's one of those mares that a lot of first timers have ridden her, and first time they've ridden her, she's won. So she's been one that's had a few different jockeys, just for one reason or another. And you know, I'm pretty sure that he'll find her fine, and I think he'll suit her. He's very much in the mould of Mark Zahra, got a good set of hands, and gets her to relax, and that's the key to her is getting her to relax enough to get that mile.
And then if we move along to race number 7, Milford and Bermudez in this one. Milford, obviously a horse that's in a fresh state. So how do you assess his chances?
Look, he came to me off a pretty short break, and he'd been gelded as well, and he looked it too. And whereas he was working well, he wasn't carrying much, and he raced accordingly. He's had a nice break. He's come back. He looks terrific. His 2 jump outs have been very good. I've left the blinkers off him. I think he'll run a cheeky race first up, the way he's going. I think it's a good starting point for him, because I think a mile and a quarter plus is really his go. But it wouldn't surprise me if he went really well. Bermudez is coming off went up straight over 1,200 metres after a bit of a break, where we sort of gave him 3 weeks in the paddock and a couple of 10 days or so, bit of dressage, brought him back in and prepared him up with one jump out, and did terrific there. He's got a step to the mile, but he's always looked as if, at his age now, that's his right trip a mile. But we'll find out, because you know, it's a strong enough race, and but he's well weighted in it.
Yeah, he certainly is. And race number 8, you've got English King. English King, an European import who we saw briefly in the spring, and from the form guide, just looks like perhaps a little bit unlucky when resuming.
He has been disappointing so far, but we're going to put blinkers on him. Lovely horse. And if you go through his form in England, he was second favourite for the English Derby. At one stage, he was favourite until I think the last 5 minutes of betting. And his run in the English Derby was really good. And for argument's sake, Emissary, who were taking up to Sydney, ran, I think, second last in the Derby, albeit because he missed the start. But he brings really good English form. And I think if it's not this start, it'll be the start afterward. He's going a mile and a half. But we put blinkers on, left him at 2,000 for the blinkers the first time. He's been gelded since this last preparation. And he's a very talented horse. And he's starting to work as if he's not far off. And, you know, whereas we'd like to see a bit of something on Saturday, we're well aware that a mile and a half up it's going to be when it gets exciting.
And then if we take our minds up to New South Wales, we've got the 3 starters up there and a number of really nice chances, Mike. In the opponent, of course, you've got Nerve Not Verve, who has been racing really well, coming off that last start win at the Valley, and that was a pretty good effort in front.
Yeah, she's a really talented mare. Look, she started her career off our stable here in New Zealand. She won a maiden. She's been right-handed before, which is a big help. She's got wet track form, but strangely enough, as she's got older, she's got a little bit worse at it. And I know Ollie rode her one day and said she wasn't that happy in the ground. But look, we expect that track to come back to a 5 up there, and that should be good enough for her. And she's a really tough mare who went down narrowly in the stakes race in Adelaide. I think she only got beaten the short head that day in a mare's race there at this trip. And we're confident that she'll run really well. We're taking her up there, hoping to get more black type with her. And she's harnessed to an Auckland Cup winner too, by Shocking. So she's really bred to stay. And I'd like to get her over a staying trip this time. She will probably go through the broodmare sale. But if I can get her up to 1.5 miles, I've always been of the opinion that she'd be a free-going 1.5 mile horse. I know Ollie and a few of the riders have disagreed with me, so we haven't really had a go at that. But this would be a bit of a stepping point to have a go at something like a Chairman's as well while we're up there.
And then if we get along to the Ranvet Group 1 action, and you've put Emissary in this one, and you must be pretty happy with what you saw there in a fresh state in the Peter Young Stakes over the 1,800 metres to be heading to Rose Hill, and obviously a real plus, just a very small select field.
Yeah, look, he basically, we threw him the deep end last time and he went terrific. He looked as if he was going to really make a race of it. Come the end of it about 100, and if he hadn't done that, well, I'm pretty sure he would have gone close to winning it. So we're taking him up there, and knowing that's a pretty strong race, but we're really happy with him. I'm starting to really get impressed with this horse. He worked up on Tuesday like a really good horse. So we're going up there knowing it's going to be a tough task for him, but he's up there for a possible crack at the Sydney Cup. So we thought we'd get up there now and see how we go this way for race.
And then, Mike, I'm really looking forward to seeing Banker's Choice step out in the George Ryder. Geez, it was the run of the race in the Blamey. You couldn't help but notice that Banker's Choice in that one. Are you excited to see Banker's Choice stepping out again here at Rose Hill?
Yeah, look, we are. He's a really nice, talented horse, without any doubt. And look, Stephen did a great job with him. He got him ready, and he only flew over to me, I think it was about a week before the race. And we really just had to trot and canter him. We gave him one gallop, and then he ran. So we've got a bit more of a handle on him. He's come through well. And look, I know it's a bit of an ask having to travel again and go to Sydney. But the race he's here for is the Doncaster. He's got 50 kilos in it. Hence, we're putting on a lightweight rider, Jay Ford, to have a bit of a feel of him. And we're hoping that we can make the Doncaster, and he's going to have to win this to force his way in. Otherwise, we have to go with just the attrition rate. But, we bought him with this in mind, and we'll see how we go. We know it's a bit of an ask because it's pretty hard to change 3 times now. And do a bit of racing and travelling before we got him as well. So it'd be good if he could do it, but that's what we're trying to do, and just see how we go.
Mike, if we put you on the spot and ask you what your best bet is out of all of your runners across the 2 states, who would you label for us?
Ooh. I would think Bermudez, because he's well weighted. I think he's in his right race. I'm hoping Tefani. I'm hoping her, and I'd say there wouldn't be much between them. I think Tefani can win the race. She's got the quality to do it. And I'll actually change it. I'll go from Bermudez and I'll stick with Nick and go Tefani.
Well, best of luck with all of them, and hopefully you can take out another feature on Saturday, and we'll be cheering you here in New Zealand, and best of luck across the weekend.
Okay, thanks for having me on.
Hugh Bowman is our next guest on the form this morning as he counts down to a massive weekend coming out of Sydney. It's one of the biggest race days in Australia, of course, featuring a number of Group 1s, including the Golden Slipper. Hugh Bowman, a very warm welcome to the show. I understand it's been pretty wet over the past couple of weeks, and that has continued this week too.
Good morning, Emily. Yes, we've had a very wet autumn so far here in Sydney. It literally hasn't stopped raining. The sun is shining this morning, so with a couple of nice days, we might get an improving track, but there's no doubt it's going to be rain affected, and if we have any more showers, it'll definitely be in that heavy range.
I thought we could talk through your Group 1 rides, and that obviously starts in race number 5 with Group 1 Ranvet, and Sikandrabad is your ride in what is a pretty small field. What did you think about this horse up to the 2,000 metres for the first time? This prep seems to have a nice sense of timing to it.
Well, it does, Emily, but the reality is he's probably a little bit out of his depth in this sort of race. I mean, it is a distance that we could expect it to see him run at his best, but whether that's good enough to compete with Very Elegant is another story. But, you know, it's a small select field and we've drawn well. We're going to get a good run, and the horse will, I'm sure, run to a peak. It's just whether or not that's good enough.
Yeah, and of course, Very Elegant starting at about $1.30 in that market. Really interested to get your thoughts in race number 6, the Rosehill Guineas on Profondo, because this is a ride that you've recently picked up, and you again meet a pretty classy field in this one. Have you had the opportunity to head out and throw your leg over Profondo?
I have, Emily. I've ridden him twice since he ran in the Australian Guineas, and the horse he gives me an exceptional feel, and I'm sure he'll certainly run a terrific race on Saturday. If it is a really heavy track, that's a little bit of a query. Side deep impact really didn't get the opportunity to run on heavy ground, but this horse it was very heavy at Warwick Farm Tuesday morning, and he seemed to travel through it very well, but I didn't really ask him to extend, so it's a little bit of an unknown from that respect. But I'm really pleased with the draw that he's got. He's got a very favourable position from the start, and, you know, he's obviously a horse with a great deal of class, and things didn't go to plan for him in Victoria recently, but I don't see any reason why he can't bounce back from that on what I felt Tuesday morning.
Yeah, and of course that run down in Victoria was in a fresh state, wasn't it? Over a mile. So you'd think there was a natural improvement jumping up to the 2,000 metres here.
Oh, no doubt about it. And, you know, his best performance has been over 2,000 metres so far. And there's no reason why he can't go further. But, you know, he's a very, very impressive looking individual. He gives you an exceptional feel. And although he is coming off that disappointing performance in the Australian Guineas, I think this race is much more suitable for him.
And Hugh, no doubt you're really looking forward to jumping aboard Forbidden Love again, a horse who's been in such good form lately, does step up to the 1,500 metres again. Does that hold any concerns for you?
Not really, Emily. This horse has performed very well over the Randwick Mile previously, and you know, that to me, I think the 1,500 at Rosehill shouldn't pose a problem. She's been dominant in her last 2 victories and was very good in running second, first up at Rosehill, and she's just in very good form. Again, she's drawn really well, so she's going to be able to control the speed. I can't really see anything else leading unless something untoward happens. And, you know, she's a filly that likes to roll along in a good rhythm and can really quicken off that. I think Colette looks to me personally to be the main danger, especially given it's going to be rain-affected ground. She's very effective on wet tracks. She's got the draw just to really probably tack onto the back of Forbidden Love. And, yeah, I can see the two mares dominating the race. I mean, healthy respect for some of the others, but I really think it's... They're the main two, personally.
And Hugh, the other thing, of course, is that she's so adaptable, isn't she? I was looking at her form, and it's not just wet track form. She seems to go on any surface, so that's no concern for you really either, is it?
Well, I can't see it getting anything better than a soft track anyway, so that's just the reality of how it is. But she's been skipping through the wet, like 2 really heavy tracks at Randwick, and she just glides over it. She's very light on her feet. She's very well balanced, and Michael and Richard Friedman have got her racing in career best form, and you know she's just in a really good frame of mind, and it's a pleasure to be riding her.
And then, of course, we get to the big one in the Golden Slipper, and you've got Jacquinot as your mount. And you combined with the Price Kent team 12 months ago with Profiteer, and we're back again, aren't we, with Jacquinot?
We are. A little more unexpected this year than last year, but Jacquinot's form's been really good in Melbourne. I thought he was very gallant, narrowly running third in the Blue Diamond, and he comes up here first time in Sydney, which I guess you have to make a little query about that, but he looks a very straightforward horse, and I think it's the most open Golden Slipper that I've witnessed since I've been riding in Sydney, and it's going to be an exciting race.
And also, of course, Jacquinot gets the blinkers on too. And for a horse who likes to get back and run home, that might just enable you to either settle a couple of spots closer or have a couple of lengths up your sleeve either way.
Yeah, I think his best runs have been when he's ridden, to finish strongly. So, I'd be inclined to go out with that mindset, but I'm not going to get too tied down to how I'm going to ride him. I haven't ridden him. I haven't been on his back, so I want to get a feel of his mood on the day. But, if the emergencies don't run, he'll come into barrier 8, which I think gives me options to, come out or go in, however the track's racing on the day. And, like I said, it's a very open race, and I'm as excited as everyone else to see how it pans out.
And then finally, race number 10, It's Me, obviously has the ability with 6 starts for 4 wins. 2 finishes have been down the field this prep. Do you feel she can turn it around?
I do now. She's had a couple of runs. Her form prior to this prep was exceptional. There was really no blemishes on her record, and she's raced at a higher level than this and raced very effectively. So I think from a nice draw, if she can just bring her, if she can improve on what she's been doing with a bit of fitness on her side, there's no doubt she can make her presence felt in this race.
Hugh, now comes the point in our interview where I ask you what your best bet on Saturday is going to be.
Well, I won't be having a bet, Emily, but my best chances, I think, are Forbidden Love. And Profondo, I think you've got to take on trust because he's coming off a disappointing run, and he's got to turn that around against some exceptional horses. But I'm very, very excited about riding him.
Well, 1 or even 2 Group 1 victories would be pretty good on Saturday. Best of luck with all of your rides, and thanks so much for chatting to us this morning.
You're very welcome. Anytime.